Right now, you're listening to the Scary Vibes podcast. My name is Michael, aka Mr. Scary Vibes.
My name is Abe, aka Big Paranormal. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back. Season 2, episode 10 Obsession. And not that good kind of obsession, because I could be obsessed with video games. That's a good type, but there's that creepy type that crawls underneath your skin. Right, Abraham?
Yes, sir. We talked about it. There's definitely some good types of obsession, right? You could be obsessed with maybe a particular type of nums. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe I like Nestle Bunch of Crunch. I'm obsessed with that. Well, then again, now that I think about it, it's probably not that good. It's probably not good for me to be obsessed with that kind of stuff. But yeah, obsession, the whole thing about obsession is that it's real scary because this is like real life stuff, right? This is something that can happen in real life. People fall into it's almost like a type of an addiction, right? So you can be addicted to certain things, but an obsession is when you are addicted to a person, right? And that's the type of obsession that we're talking about. And I think a couple of us have a few stories and whatever that we can cover that have to do with obsession. But first off, I'm really excited right now because I have one of my oldest friends here, man, that's actually joining us today. I'm super excited to have him on as a special guest. This is my boy Paul. Paul, we have been friends for over 20 years, I think now, right?
Over 20.
Yeah, over 20 years. And Paul is he's an awesome person. He does a lot of like good community work under his organization, the New Era Young Lords. He's also a big pillar in the spiritual community. Also, Paul is a spiritual practitioner. Paul, I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit about what is it that you practice,
Yeah.
and just let us know a little bit about it.
Yeah. So I'm a Bahique in the Taino tradition. So indigenous Puerto Rican and Caribbean island indigenous work. So a Bahique is like a community elder, like someone that holds community ceremony, and you've been in on a couple of those with me. I'm also a Tata and Palo Mayombe, which is an Afro Caribbean and Afro Cuban spiritual practice that comes from like the Congo. It deals a lot with working with the dead and death in some ways. So yeah, so those are two that I'm initiated in. I'm also involved in Ifa or um like Santeria, but
Okay.
I'm not full. Yeah, I'm not crowned or anything like that. I've been through maybe two or three ceremonies, but yeah, there's still a lot. Like I haven't made Santo or any of that other stuff yet. So
Gotcha. Okay, that seems to be actually pretty accomplished to be a part of these three different types of ideologies. I mean, that's actually pretty impressive, man. But at the same time, I know that there is kind of like it's very in depth when it comes to spirituality, right? Dealing with spirits. You yourself said that you deal with spirits and the dead, right? So is that like a common practice within those three?
in Ifa, not too much. The Taino is more like working with the elements and the semis and um, Papalo does deal more with um like death and
Mm-hmm.
like there's certain things that happen. One of the ceremonies that I went through out in Cuba is called, being scratched in palo.
Okay.
Um, and that scratch opens you up to be able to communicate and work with the dead a lot more, spirits, muertos, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a lot of respect and admiration for like Santa Muerte, and so I have altar dedicated to her, and I worked with her. But I'm not a devotee because there's some aspects of like jealousy when working with her, so like you have
Okay.
to be cautious with things. So So yeah, so I have my altar to her, and I've also been trained a little bit in Louisiana voodoo. But again, I haven't gotten my head washed in that. And these were all practices that kind of found me. I didn't go seeking them. The only one went seeking was like the indigenous work.
Okay.
So like working with the Taino, working with the Toltec and the Mexica, understanding like cultural heritage.
Mm-hmm.
But along my path as I grew politically, the other aspects of like voodoo, palo mayombe, ifa, all started to come to me,
Okay.
and elders would show up and things would happen, and eventually I would get readings, and these readings were like, yeah, you're supposed to be working with this, and things have changed since I've started working with them.
Okay, so it sounds like there were things that kind of just started to fall into place the moment
Yeah.
that you started kind of showing a little bit of curiosity into these types of these practices and whatnot. Then it just seemed like it was almost serendipitous in a way, like things just started to kind of fall into place, led you into, communication with specific people, or these people got led to you, like, and you had different experiences, and that's pretty cool, man.
I
Like the
actually
fact
have.
that go ahead, bro.
I have a question. So, I mean, I'm not really into my heritage. I'm not from like a Spanish heritage, so a lot of this stuff is brand new to me. So I have a lot of questions. And I mean, the main question is, you had mentioned while you were explaining like what you do is that you work with spirits and you work with the dead. What is the difference between those two?
So working with spirits is like being able to do divination and work with like communications through like either divination tools or being able to pick up on things, right? Working with the dead in a way um is having this pact with spirits. So instead of just getting communication with them, you're working directly with muertos, and they're able to do certain tasks, and you're obligated to do certain things for them, and they're obligated to do certain things for you. So like if I was having issues with something, and even if I didn't intentionally want to send my muertos to go deal with it, they may step in on their own and be like, "Oh, you're fucking with our boy. We're gonna handle it." You know. So there's a symbiotic relationship. But if it gets out of whack, they could also end up like messing your life up a little bit, because again,
Mm,
you are working with spirits, you are working with the dead. Um, and so like there's books written about it. Like there's a book called Palo Mayombe, The Garden of Blood and Bones.
hmm.
Because there is like this aspect of having a inganga, and that inganga has like spiritual, like really heavy spiritual vibes to it. So
Got you.
So I know you said that you had like a real like calling to this. Like you did a lot of, you know, basically something kind of pulled you into this direction. I mean, I'm kind of curious. I mean, when you say certain things, like it kind of almost sounds like you're playing with fire because you're like, man, you got to walk kind of a certain line. Do you ever feel like you've touched the stove before? Like, have you ever got burned? Like, do you feel like
well, Abe will tell you that I'm the kind of, I fuck around and I find out a lot. Sometimes like I'm always pushing boundaries. So we went to his old house in Michigan,
yeah,
and the building was gone, but there was still bricks from the foundation. And I'm like, hey, look, I'm gonna take a brick home. And so I brought a brick from the house that he grew up in that tormented him, and I brought it into my house. I brought it into my space, and now the first night, like shit just started, like stuff fell off the wall. So I had like plaques and stuff that were falling off the wall. I was hearing things in the middle of the night. I had a shadow figure come to the bedroom door. My cat freaked out. Like there was a lot of things going on, right?
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, I brought this brick home specifically because again it has these energies attached. I could use it in my practice. But it started interacting with the spirits that are already here, the stuff that I'm already working with. The altars that I had just intensified it, and so I had to take it outside. I still have the brick. It's under a tree. It gets, libations and stuff like that when I need to work with it. I could also take brick dust and use that for like more protection work and stuff like that, or work to send things towards people. But yeah, so I had to take it outside. I had to cleanse the space. And so in cleansing the space, there's a practice that I do with a coconut. And as I was, cleansing the whole house while nobody was here, I kicked the coconut because you're not supposed to touch it once you start this. You're supposed to only be able to use your feet, and you got to kick it away from your house. So I'm kicking it through the yard. I kick it into the alley. I kick it down the alley, right? As soon as I turn around, I get attacked by and stung 3 times by bees, by wasps, right? And I'm
Whoa.
like, holy shit! Like immediately, as soon as it starts to roll down the thing, I feel a sting, boom, right on my back, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then another sting and another sting. I'm like, damn. So I'm running. My big ass is running to the house. Like I got to get inside, and I'm like, I get inside and I look, and yeah, there's 3 big ass sting like marks on my back, and I'm like, all right. And then right after that, I start to feel nauseous. I start to feel real dizzy. I have to come upstairs. I have to cleanse myself. And that's not the first time that's happened. Like my sister, I did a cleansing on her in this space, and like she turned pale white and just started puking, you know? Um, and so it's like, I got to be careful sometimes with the stuff that I bring in, and I got to be very intentional because I do have altars to different practices. I do have things that are got their own dedicated space and need their own dedicated time. And if I'm not giving enough time to something, it can make itself like seem.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is, I know that from past experiences that there is a certain type of risk that you take, right? Especially for you as the practitioner, as the person who is engaging in the cleansings or the limpiezas in order to take these negative energies out. Even when you're trying to get rid of these negative energies, I do know that there are things that can happen to where this negative energy or these dark spirits do throw obstacles in your way, right? Because it's like it has a job to do too, and it does, obviously it can't do that job if it's not around, right? So what they'll do is they'll do things like they said with Paul, like they'll sting him. And I remember through one of my my cleansings, after we were trying to get rid of these objects that we passed the negativity to, we were supposed to just drive down the street and then make a right, and we ended up getting lost. We kept getting turned around because the energy was just, it was messing us up. It did not want us to get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty nuts, and I have to say it's pretty commendable for you and people like you that actually, take the time, dedicate, all of these hours and these years, this lifetime to be able to like dedicate yourself to these practices in order to help people. I think that's awesome because just from listening to it, you can deal with some pretty scary shit, right? You and I both know, like, we've experienced things together. We've seen things together, and so we know that there's a lot of scary shit out there. So that's why I tell people ignorance is bliss most of the time, right? For the people that don't know about like the spiritual stuff that goes on, everybody wants to sit here and be like, oh, it's awesome, what a miracle, right? But then that's the positive, but there's also the negatives that happen, right? In behind the scenes, the things that you
I
can't
have
see.
I have been listening to your stories forever. I don't remember any good stories. They're always pretty negative.
Damn.
It's mostly it sounds like most of the time it's pretty bad stuff, but I'm sure there is some good things sometimes where you could I'm sure if
Sometimes
you're in
there
the
is, man.
I'm
Yeah.
sure if you're in the company of just good people, good spirits, I'm sure it's probably just escalated, you know what I mean? That feeling
Oh
when you're
yeah.
around good people, you know what I mean? So interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah,
I
man.
definitely appreciate Paul being on here. But like every episode, before we always get into all the topics and all the fun stuff, Abraham, Big Paranormal, how have
Yes, sir.
you been?
I've been okay, man. I've been okay. Just trying to make my way through life and everything. The weather's been nuts lately. We've had like a few 70-degree days, but then like it's been plummeting down to like, I don't know, like in the 30s and the 20s, and as a result people have been getting sick and whatever. It's been nuts, man.
I was
Chicago,
contemplating putting on the air last night.
I know, dude. Like it got crazy warm outside, and I'm a big dude, so I don't do well in heat. I'm sure that there was a lot of people that were super happy with the sun being out and everything. I'm a creature of darkness myself. I'm a fan of the moon. So nighttime is my natural time to want to be out and stuff like that. I feel more alive at night, you know? But yeah, man,
Have you
it's
ever
been pretty
howled at the
nuts.
moon?
I'm sorry.
Have you ever howled at the moon?
Yeah, I can't honestly say that I have. There have been nights where I've actually sat out on the back deck and I've had my little, my glass of tequila, and I've actually sat out there and like just stared at the moon, dude. I have such an adoration for the moon. I love it. I love it so much, But at the same time, the moon, it's not, it's a very abusive relationship back and forth because I love the moon so much, but depending on what phase the moon is in, it can create a lot of discomfort for people like me. It can create a lot of discomfort for people that are in the spiritual community, any practitioners. And Paul can tell you the same thing, man. Like phases of the moon will dictate how heightened your I don't want to say perception. I don't even know if that's the actual like the word. But it can either make it stronger or weaker depending on like the phases, you know it can dictate if you have sleepless nights. There's been times where I haven't slept in like 5 days straight because of the phase of the moon. It's nuts. It's really crazy.
This shit ain't fun.
Exactly. This is what I tell people. This shit ain't fun. But I'm really happy that Paul's here, man, because along with the his spiritual practices and stuff like that, he's also an avid horror fan. This man is the reason why I was actually introduced to the original Evil Dead film. The first time that I ever saw it, he introduced it to me, and I was like 18 years old. You know what I'm saying? When he showed me this movie for the first time. And I remember watching this movie and just being like, dude, what the fuck? What am I watching right now? Like, this movie, it really freaked me out. And it kind of like ushered me into that type of horror, this like crazy gore, Sam Raimi, over the top with the demons and the deadites and all that stuff. He's the reason behind that, so that's why another reason why I'm happy that he's here, because he's one of those guys that absolutely loves horror.
I'm curious, Paul. What is your favorite scary movie?
Damn,
Or
it really
I'm
depends.
actually more. Actually, I'm more curious. I'm curious about that if you do have one, or I'm also curious like how you got into horror movies. Like where did it all start? Like where did the love for it start? I'm more curious about that, but you could answer both if you have them both for me.
Let me see. Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Evil Dead. It was that one of those cult classics. But I grew up watching like Tales from the Crypt and you know, um, things like that. And I'm trying to think what really, really, really got me into. I mean, I loved the Friday the 13th and the Jasons and um, Freddy Krueger and all that, but like it really intensified with like the zombie genre. Big zombie fan, George A. Romero, grew up on that. Um, every time he put out something, a collaboration with a comic, I had to go get it. Um, so yeah, definitely the zombie stuff really like intensified. Um, but yeah, I don't have a besides Evil Dead's and that whole franchise that they're building, just because it was stupid funny, but it was just like over the top and I don't know. There was just something about that one that really like captivated me as a youth. It scared the shit out of everybody I knew, so that also made me want to like it more because I was like, oh, you guys can't handle this.
Is there a certain like comic, or is there a certain like episodes like of a comic that you're like, bro, this is one of the darkest, or this is like one of the best ones that I would recommend, or like off the top of the dome? I know I'm putting you on the spot. I apologize.
No, like I like Empire of the Dead.
Okay.
It was one of the last projects that George A. Romero was doing as a comic book before he passed. And so it was really building on that whole like universe that he built. And so that one started out really good. I was a fan of the Walking Dead comic books. You know, my sister put me onto that. Um, and I got immediately hooked. I got a bunch of the comics. I got a bunch of the bigger books, the chapter books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was a fan of the show for a long time. You know, after a while, it did get kind of like, they carried it on a little bit,
A
and
little
it
too long.
deviated so well. It deviated a lot from like the storyline, and some of the deaths were more iconic in the comic book than they were in on the show and stuff like that. But overall, it was still pretty good. I like some of the spin-offs that have come off of it as well. You know.
Nice.
I like it. Sounds like you've been doing good, Abraham. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I've been doing all right. Been doing okay. What about yourself? How's things going?
Over here in Mr. Scary Vibes Land, everything's been pretty good. Can't complain. Like everyone knows, I'm in the Chicagoland also, so I do enjoy the sun during the daytime. At night, I get hot. I was contemplating putting on the air, but I held back and I didn't do it. But today, actually, I took my daughter out. We took a drive in the rain. I needed a monster. I was like tired. I was like, I do not know how I'm going to get through this episode of this podcast. I needed a monster. I needed a pick me up. So
Mm-hmm.
we were going to go drive to a gas station. But my daughter was like, hey, I want to go to Target. I want to look at some swimsuits. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. So we pull up. They have an Easter section. I'm going down the Easter section. I'm like, okay, let's see what kind of new candies out here. And I was surprised to see two new flavors. I seen a Pop Tarts flavor, and I also seen a Sunny D flavor.
Hmm.
So I looked down at the kiddo, and I'm like, you know what flavor that I would really, really, really love to see? And she's like, what, Dad? And I'm like, Flaming Hot Cheetos, Peeps Edition. And then she's like, that sounds so disgusting. And I was like, if they had it, would you try it? And she's like, hell yeah. So
Dude, your
then the whole
daughter
reason
is
I'm
such a
telling you,
G.
the whole reason I'm bringing this up because like what we're on a horror podcast. This guy's talking about Peeps. Yo, I'm curious what you guys would pick if you had a magic wand to have any flavor Peeps. What would you pick? Abraham, I'll let you go first.
Um, damn, that's like it's rough because I know that they do have a bunch of different flavors, but honestly, I'm a Oreo guy, and I do know that Oreo does have a Peeps flavored cookie, but I did notice that Peeps does not have an Oreo Peep. So like, I mean, maybe they would do it, but I mean, I don't know how they would feel about maybe like a Halloween version of it, but like because it would probably end up being black, right? Because Oreos are black. I mean, they have some other Oreos that are like, different colors and whatever. But I would love to try an Oreo Peep.
Would you
I
dip it
honestly
in
think it would be
milk?
really good. I'm sorry?
Would you dip it in milk?
Hell yeah, I would dip it in milk. Absolutely. I'd be drowning the hell out of those damn things. At least I would make it weird. I would make it super weird, bruh.
Kinky. It'd be kinky up in your bedroom.
All right, I wasn't trying to take it there, dude. What the hell? What is going on here?
Paul,
Anyways,
aka Popo. If you had a magic wand to have any flavor Peeps in the world, is there something that comes
I
to mind?
mean, it had me thinking with the savory on the Flamin' Hot Cheetos and like candied bacon tastes pretty good, right? So like maybe that. But then
Ooh.
Abe said milk, and I'm like, man, an horchata flavor
Ooh.
peep.
damn,
Like
dude. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, like an horchata flavored one. When you said milk, I was like, oh, shit, that's a milk product. Yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah, or even like a coconut or like tres leches or
Oh
something.
yeah, tres
That would
leches.
be pretty dope. See, now the gears, you got the gears turning, bro. You got the gears turning, and now we're
See?
actually thinking about this stuff. Like,
Sorry to do that to you guys. I'm sure we're all gonna be like hungry now. We're gonna have a sweet tooth after the episode.
so I know you were talking about donuts earlier too, man, and now I want a donut.
Oh, damn,
Oh,
man.
before the
God.
episode, I was telling. I don't know if you were in here because actually before the episode, we were having some technical issues trying to get everything going, and Paul stepped away from the pod to kind of try to troubleshoot some issues. And me and Abraham were talking. I was telling him how I was watching this video about this guy working overnight, and I was so surprised that when he was working this job at Dunkin' Donuts, that the donuts aren't fresh. There's a truck that comes at like 2 a.m. and just drops off a tray of donuts. I'm like, these mofos aren't in here baking donuts every day at like 5 a.m. for me? How dare
Oh,
they? Dunkin'
that's
Donuts?
it's super disappointing. It's heartbreaking, and I feel like you might have to go into witness protection because now you're spilling Dunkin' Donuts secrets, and they're everywhere, dude. There's Dunkin' Donuts. There's like 2 to every block. So you may have to go into hiding now.
Okay, this is another off script thing. Favorite donuts, I need to know. Me, I love the French curler. Everybody, like, I feel like people either love it or they just hate it because they never tried it.
I don't think I've ever tried it. Have I tried a
Bro,
French
it's so
cruller?
good. It's light, it's crunchy, it's sweet.
Wait, do they have that at Dunkin'? I don't think they have that at Dunkin', do they?
They do. They
Dude,
do.
I'm gonna leave this pod and I'm gonna go to the Dunkin' Donuts that's right down the corner, and I'm gonna
Hey,
I'm gonna see if they have it.
you're gonna
But
break your
like,
contract with Scary Vibes. You're not allowed to leave.
oh man.
I was gonna say, come pick me up.
Like, yeah, man, we gotta go. Dude, funny story actually, a Dunkin' Donuts story is that I knew that he was gonna know exactly where I'm going. But we ended up like we were just cruising around one time and I was like, yo, I really want to get a caramel cappuccino blast from Dunkin' Donuts, right? And now
Okay.
mind you, as a big dude, people would probably be like, this guy drinks his coffee black with like 2 sugars or something. No, bro. No, I want the whipped cream. I want the caramel drizzled on top of it. I want sprinkles. I want it to look as festive as fucking possible, right? So I'm always getting the side eye whenever like I order a caramel cappuccino blast because it's this gigantic cup of like frosted coffee with like ice cream in it and like, there's a whole bunch of shit in it, but like so I actually ordered this shit and the girl at the window, she gives us the thing and she puts 2 straws in it, and me and Paul
Why?
kind of look at each other. I'm like, why would she put 2 straws in it? And I was like, bro, he's like, he looks over at me, he's like, dude, she probably thinks that we're like together or something because you ordered that drink. I was like, bruh. Oh my god, it was just like super embarrassing. But you know what? I embrace it now, man. Every time, I mean, I don't drink it often, but when I do get like that hankering to have that little foofy drink with all the, all the caramel, all the whipped cream and stuff on top of it, I've kind of had to get used to it because the people will kind of give me the side eye. The people that work in there, it's like, hey man, I'm paying for this stuff just like anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Don't judge me
Pe-
for liking what I like,
People
but
out here
that's yeah,
judging you? How dare
of
they?
course,
These
of
sick,
course,
sick people.
of course, man. Yeah, but yeah. So, favorite donut. Damn it, man. That's hard, bro, because I'm fat.
Rapid
So
fire.
like,
Rapid fire. What's the favorite donut?
I mean, my usual go-to is and I already know you guys are gonna give me shit for this, but it's the vanilla long john.
Oh
I already
god.
knew, I already knew you guys were gonna laugh at me. But yeah, vanilla long
Mm,
john or the
mm.
chocolate glazed donut.
What about you, Paul?
Chocolate
Rapid
glazed.
fire.
Chocolate glazed,
Oh, you like the chocolate glaze too?
Yep.
Hell yeah, man.
Or
See,
the double chocolate glaze though, the one that's like the chocolate donut with the chocolate on it.
All right,
What?
so this is the part. This is going to be the part of the episode where I'm going to say I appreciate all the listeners. I appreciate all the watchers. If you're listening, watching, drop in the comments right now. What is your favorite donut? Let us know. I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know.
I
We're
thought
gonna
you
let's
were
get
going to say
this.
send us a donut.
Oh man, that would be awesome.
Let,
Listeners,
so let's get
send
this
us a donut.
podcast. Let's get this podcast back on track. We're gonna go back in the horror direction. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
lay the floor out for our special guest, Paul. I need a creepy story. I need something that's just rattled your fucking spirit. Is there something off the top of your dome that either, because you're a spiritual practitioner, so I'm sure there's tons of people that come to you all the time with, certain situations or even something that's happened to you personally. Is there something that is just, most people, it's going to keep them up at night? It's something that's just creepy.
Damn, I got a bunch, but I also like I'll share this. I have a tendency to uh sell my soul during my sleep. You know, I've had,
Wait, wait,
and
wait, wait.
I've told you.
It's, you said
Yes,
sell your
yes,
soul during
yes.
while you sleep. Okay, okay. Explain.
So
What?
how do I put this? Like, so when I was younger, I had a dream. This was when I was still believing in Catholicism and stuff like that, right? I had a dream where the devil approached me and he had like this book, right? And now during this time, I was also reading a lot of like the Satanic Bible, and I was reading a bunch of stuff like that, just pushing the edges, And Abe knows I love to do that, right? And so I have this dream that he comes to me and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you this knowledge, but you got to give me your soul, right?" And I mean, you say rapid fire. I was just like, "Okay, cool. What do I sign?" Like in my dream, and I'm like, I don't I'm not controlling this. It's just like, okay. And so I end up signing in blood, right? Now normally I would not have thought anything of it. The morning I woke up, I had a cut on my hand and there was like it bled pretty bad. And so I had blood all over my right hand. And I'm like, all right, so that happened. And I kind of sat there with it, right? Now, say about 20 years later or something like that, um, I'm again in, growing spiritually because I took a hiatus off and I was just on, like, I'm not gonna lie, just trying to survive. So I didn't have time for the spiritual stuff. I really had time to watch movies and stuff, right? So I have this dream again, but this time it's a woman that comes up and she's a elderly black woman. She's in a white robe and she's like, "He's been waiting for you." And I'm like, "Okay." So she's like, "Just follow me." I know we're in like a wooded area. We walk, we get to a place, and there's like a forge, right? And there's a guy standing behind there, and again, he's like, "Are you ready to make this next step?" Right? And I'm like, "What do you need from me?" And so he offers me power again, and he's like, "Look, I will bestow you with certain powers, um, but you have to be pledged, right? You have to almost like initiated, right?" And again, I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let's go. More power. Let's do this, right?" And um, I wake up and I'm like, "Fuck." I did it again. Like I was like, damn, I done gave my soul away again if I believed in something like that, right? So I call one of my homies and I'm like, "Hey, I did it again." And they're like, "You got to stop fucking giving shit away, like giving your powers away in your sleep." And I'm like, "Man, I couldn't help it. They were offering me power. Like, what would you do?" So I went and got a reading,
Okay, so when you say
and
power, like, is there a certain power that you think that they were offering, or is there something in your mind? Like,
it was the start of like growing spiritually. So I do go get a reading, and in the reading, that's when it starts to come up that I'm supposed to be working in certain paradigms, right? And this is actually this, and also the fact that I dodged death in like 3 times in like maybe 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
That also led to this reading, right?
Uh-huh.
And in the reading, it came up like, the death wanted something from me, and I had to do something, but I also needed to up my spiritual protection. Now, this was before my initiations into things. This was before I started to learn more, and it led to a Guardian Orisha reading, right? So this is my first introduction to getting a full kind of like reading in Ifa. And so when I'm talking to them, I'm like, this is what came up to me in the dream. And they're like, oh, that's probably Ogun coming to you because he is a Orisha that is like steel and metalworks, and the forge is his home, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to come up as a child of him. And funny enough, I end up getting the reading. It Ogun is there, but he's not my guardian Orisha, right? He's not who is one of the Orishas that are, because you'll get two that are like mainly with you. He's not one of the ones that is mainly with me, but um I still do a lot of work with him, a lot of work with metal and stuff like that. So it was just interesting that how that came up. And even the Babalao that did the reading for me at the time was like, he was surprised that Ogun didn't come up, right? Because that was the first name. We were like, okay, you had this dream. He's throwing the Opele, and he's like, um, yeah, is Ogun your guardian Orisha? And it was like, no. And he was like, oh, okay. So then he starts asking like Shango and Oya, until finally we get the Orisha that is my guardian.
Hmm.
So,
Bruh. That's
but
like
So
kind of scary.
so I've known Abraham, what, like it's going on like 16 years.
Yeah, about
So
that.
so I've obviously met Paul also throughout the years, and there was actually a time where there was this witch. I'm convinced. I'm convinced. I was attacked by a witch. Okay, my life, it was good. I had my dog. I had my own place, my car. Had money in the stock market. Shit was going good. Then I talked shit to a witch. I was talking shit to her, but she deserved it. I'm not a bully. I don't like bullying, but I'm somebody who likes to tell you what you need to hear. And I
Mm.
kept it real. Abraham also, he attacked the witch a little bit too. So she disappears after I keep it real with her. She disappears. Then eventually she pops up out of the blue after like 3 4 years of zero contact, zero. The day that she's giving birth to her child, she requests me on Facebook. I accept it. Doesn't say no words to me. Eventually, like within like a day or two, I start having like these vein issues in my legs. I ended up losing like 3K in the stock market. Everything was just like my life was miserable. I was like super sad. I remember I actually came over to your house, Abraham. I think Paul, you were there, and I was like, bro, and I remember Abraham being like, well, the fact that she added you on Facebook and didn't say anything, she's probably checking up to see if you're complaining like, "Oh my god, my life is terrible," to see if her magic is working. I don't know if it's
Hmm.
true or not, but then I was like, "I need help." Paul was like, "Well, if you kind of explain to me what's going on, like what month you were born," he was like, "I could create this whole entire bracelet, and I'll put it on my altar, and I'll pray with it, and I'll give it to you." So I actually know Paul. Fun fact, I know Paul. So I'm curious, is there any like crazy stories that people came to you and were like, "Oh my god, Paul, please help me. I'm being attacked by something."
so without divulging someone's identity, right? Like
Of
I
course.
was at I've had a couple people that have come that have had like attachments. I'm actually working with somebody right now that is learning to develop their communication with like spirits and stuff like that. And like I even brought Abe in as a consultation because the space that we're working in has some heavy ass energy, right? And So I've been working with them, but I do have a situation where I was at a vending event, right? And I do a lot of spiritual and vending, or I used to do a lot more back in the day. I haven't had a lot of time to do much, but we were vending in Pilsen. It was a former funeral parlor, right? And
Creepy.
so kind of shabby. It was, but I mean, the rent was to rent the space out was really good. They were trying to make it like a art gallery and have like that funeral vibe concept, right? It was real, like kind of edgy, right? So I'm there, and the person I'm vending with starts to like first off, I get there and I can feel the energy, like, but this was before I started really like allowing a lot of stuff to connect. So able to tell you for a long time I was able to block everything perfectly. Like I had no empathy for anything. I was just like, you know, my empath skills were just like I was so hollow that nothing was able to get to me, right? But as soon as I started to grow and grow spiritually, like shit started to affect me, right? So I'm there and I'm like, man, I feel nauseous. I can't be in here. It's snowing. It's below, it's like maybe about 10, 15 degrees outside. It's middle of winter. I'm outside in a t shirt because I can't be in that space. The person I'm vending with is stuck there. And within maybe, it was supposed to be a 5 hour vending. By hour two, I thought the person was having a stroke.
Hmm.
The side of their face started to droop. They were not able to make coherent sentences. It was like they would be like, I don't feel like a cat. And I'm like, what the fuck you mean you don't feel like a cat, right? But like they could not make a sentence, and everybody's like, you need to get them to the emergency room. I think they're having a stroke. I thought they were having a stroke. So everybody, all the vendors stopped. They help me like shut everything down. We jump in the car. They're like not making sense. They're like almost a pale like gray. The side of their faces drooped. So we get to Northwestern, and I take them in, and I'm like, look, this person, they look at the person and they're like, they're having a stroke. Immediately into a room, like no waiting. I've never been just like straight into a room, right?
Mm.
They run all these tests. They come back. They send me home. And I get a call from the person, and they're like, yeah, they said that it wasn't a stroke. They said it was a bad migraine. And I was like, I don't see motherfuckers with a migraine. That did not look like a migraine, but it scared the shit out of everybody. Like people were calling, like, hey, have you checked on them? Are they okay? Did they have a stroke? But it was not, it was, but they were very sensitive to energy. Like they could pick up on that stuff, and that stuff fed off of them easily. But they also had a refusal to try to learn, almost a little bit stubborn like Abe, because Abe could elevate his skills and his stuff, but he doesn't want to take that route. So sometimes he has to deal with the bullshit that comes along with it, um which sometimes is like literally raw dogging the spiritual world. But
I mean, I feel like, you know, there has to be some type of caution, and I feel like it's just like you're like, man, fuck around, and find out. Like I'm
Mhm.
down to play with fire, and Abraham's like, I've already had a taste of it. I do not
Oh
probably
yeah.
want to like fucking
Well, I mean,
fuck around and find out.
I've dealt with a lot of different things, and I've experienced my fair share where I'm like, I don't want this, right? Like I've already experienced enough to where I'm like, I don't want to elevate this because in my mind, if I start to elevate myself, I'm going to open myself up even more to this stuff, and I'm already experiencing shit that I don't want. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to experience more. But through those practices, I'm told that if I do elevate myself, I'll be able to better protect myself. I'll be able to kind of hold these things at bay, and the I won't be as susceptible to spiritual attack and things of that nature. But I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just not there yet. Maybe in the future. And I know that Paul has has been, telling me that I need to, start doing more when it comes to that. And that he's not the only one, man. I've had other spiritual practitioners that have told me the same thing, that have offered to, kind of take me under their wing and teach me things. But I'm just like, dude, I'm just not there. I don't like the occasional visitor, spiritual visitor, I'm okay with. But like having like a long line of these people to try to come and see me just to get like a message across is not something that I'm prepared. I'm not
Well, it kind
prepared
of
for
makes
that.
sense what you were saying. Paul's like suggesting is, to kind of just protect yourself better. But there
Mhm.
is definitely probably risk, with that. So makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's always risk, right? We're susceptible to, you know, there's times where I, just like with the situation that Paul said, I can't go to specific places. There's times where I'll go into a place and I'll like, the good thing is that like if I'm with Paul, he has the understanding to where I'll tell him like, I'll look at him and I'll be like, bro, I gotta go. Like I gotta go outside. I have to get like distance myself from a space or whatever. Like he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But if
If
I
you're
was
with
with
me,
some
I'm like, you better get some extra butter on that popcorn, boy. We're going in this
exact dude,
movie.
and there's something, I don't know. This is the second time that I've had a bad experience at that specific movie theater, and it's a great movie theater. It's a great movie theater, and but twice I've been spiritually attacked at that place. So I don't know if it's an actual spirit inside there, but I can honestly say that like I like sitting in the theater, I always feel like I'm being watched when I'm in that theater. So I am leaning more towards like it could actually be an actual spirit that's inside of the theater, or spirits. More, I'm leaning more towards that, or it could be a combination. There could be somebody that's working, behind the desk that's giving us the popcorn that's just got really, really bad vibes, man. Like I'm talking like really bad, like murderer type vibes, because that can take me out. That literally can almost put me on my ass.
And Abe knows that I drive around with a what people have called my exorcist kit, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I have everything that I need, from certain kinds of candles, blessed object, spiritually blessed objects in my
Herbs.
practices,
Mm-hmm.
herbs, all kinds of stuff, tobacco. Um, and so like when shit happens, it's like I'm like, all right, you know, we need to pull over. I got this. I do a lot of work in cemeteries as well. I've participated in when I say exorcisms, I don't want you to think the Catholic, like, a priest standing there, spirit of God, whatever they say,
Mm-hmm. The power of Christ compels you.
there you go, that the
Oh,
power of
it's
Christ.
burning! Don't ever
Yeah,
say that
yeah,
again. Ah.
you know, I don't want you to think that, because like I've been in exorcisms that have nothing to do with any of that. Like I've been in places where people have been mounted by spirit, right? Um, what they would say is like possession, but it's like it's spirit mounting them because they are considered a horse, right? And so through them, the spirit's able to communicate, right? And then it
Mm-hmm.
goes, you know, um, and it comes in all kinds of forms. You could start to see it slowly, gradually, especially those people that are susceptible to it. You could see it slowly start to like attach, and if they're not willing to or ready to, you have to like push that energy away, and help them push that energy away. But there are people that are horses in certain practices, like voodoo, right? Louisiana voodoo will have the loa that will come and mount a practitioner and through them speak, and it's not a scary thing, it's
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
demonization that society has put upon it.
Right.
So when Abraham was talking about this movie theater and how creepy it was, and maybe it's the person, maybe it's the place. Is there a certain place that you've ever like? Where's like? Is there a certain place that you're like, bro? This is the creepiest place I've ever been in my entire life. Is there a place that tops them all?
And there's been plenty. uh I would say there
Where's a
was
place
this
you would
one.
not go back to? Where a place you will not go back to?
I'll still go back, to be honest with you. Because I'll be like, okay, last time I came I may have been a baby and stuff, right? Like not spiritually elevated and stuff like that. And so now it's like if I get a chance to go back to these places as I continue to grow in my practice and stuff, now I'm like, okay, can I go into this space and still have the same kind of effect? Or is it still going to overwhelm me? And if it's overwhelming me, then I know I need to go back and boost up my spiritual protections and stuff like that, right?
Elevate. Yeah.
So I'm always pushing myself, and that's why I say the almost like that fuck around and find out, because it's like I will continue to like push myself further and further. I've been in some cemeteries like Old Cavalry out towards Evanston. They had some really crazy stuff going on. Um, I I think it's Mount Carmel I went to, and just crossing the threshold into the cemetery, I got nauseous as hell, and I was just like, oh man, I got dizzy. I had to stop the car and like cleanse
What were
myself
you?
and cover.
What
What's
was
up?
the reason you were going into this cemetery?
Uh, Normal work, I think it was. What were we doing that day? Oh, it was one of the holy days in voodoo. And so, or what we would consider voodoo, right? Um, and I was with a mambo, and they were like, yeah, we need to go and do some venerating work and stuff like that. I was also there that day.
Were you collecting dirt?
I was putting spirits in items. So I was that day. I was part of my training was how to put a spirit in an item so that that spirit can embody that item. And I actually have several items in my room right here that actually have spirits put in them, for different
Do you?
various things.
I mean, no disrespect, but do you go to these cemeteries and are you just like kidnapping spirits, or is there like a family member that's like, hey, kidnap this spirit for me?
So in this case, no, we're not kidnapping spirits. We would so the way that it happens is like we'll drive around that cemetery, right? And we'll leave our offerings at the door. We'll have those conversations, and we'll say if there's a spirit that's willing to work with us, right? Because it has to be consensual, right? We will drive around, and you'll feel it. Like you'll feel the shift in energy, and you're like, oh, let's stop right here. We'll stop. We'll start to walk around, and eventually you'll find a grave, right? And there's a couple of things that you have to leave, offerings and stuff like that to get the consent. You'll have a candle lit, and depending on how the candle reacts, you could tell if the spirit's like, yeah, you know what, I'll work with you, right? Or not, So in these cases, when we've gone and we've done the work, um, we've gone to some places where it ends up not being anybody that we would use in either putting a spirit in a divination tarot deck, or like this right here. This little Enderman actually has a spirit in it. We went and he's a guardian spirit, but um, we went and I did the practice. You got to wait about 7 days, which is like the process, and then you're able to have that spirit birth into the item that you wanted it to be put in, right?
Mhm.
And so, but I've been to some cemeteries where instead of actually, how do I say it, like doing the work, we end up tending to a spirit that is like really angry or really sad. And it ends up being like we have the wine, we have the tobacco, we have the candles, we have the water, all these things to venerate them, and it's like we were here to do something else, but we end up using those items to bring some peace or some relaxation or calm to a spirit that's like maybe has been neglected. Maybe all their family is dead and nobody's come to see them, and they're getting angry, you know. So yeah, I've I've been involved in things like that.
So what it sounds like is that you guys don't do any spiritual work, with those types of spirits unless they're willing participants. You're not forcing them. You're not, taking control over them. You're not, they're not captive. These are willing participants. These are spirits of people that have passed on that are willing to help you in the work that you do, is what I'm hearing. Right. And so I think I also heard that you said that there are spirits that you guys won't work with. Right. So you guys have been approached by some spirits that have been like darker or just did not have good intentions. And you were like, yeah, no, we're not gonna work with these spirits.
So
Not to
I'm gonna
say
give
that
you.
there aren't darker people out there who practice magic that would work with spirits like that. You know what I'm saying? Because we all know that there's those people out there. You
So
know.
let me give you a cool example. I went to do some money work, and sometimes money work will require cemetery dirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I pull up to one cemetery. The cemetery actually closed early because we were getting into fall, and I was like, fuck, all right. So I drove to another cemetery. Never been to that cemetery in my life. Um, did my offerings at the gate. Drove around, and I'm like, I need to do money work, right? And so I'm trying to find the perfect site, someplace that spiritually is calling to me. So I'm zigzagging throughout the cemetery, because you know how cemeteries have the plot lands all like zigzagged, right? I'm driving up, and I get right between these two trees. There's the gold, because it's like the golden light of the sun, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
sun's getting ready to set a little bit. And the way the light hits, it catches my eye. I turn around, and there's a fucking mausoleum, and the last name is Money.
Oh wow.
The last
Like
name is Money.
Money
And I
Mayweather.
pull up, and I'm like, money work, money. And so, and it was a big mausoleum. It was,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember how I zigzagged there, but I pulled over, and I was able to do my work. And it was just like, that's how it happens. It's like you go in with an intent, and it made itself see. If that light hadn't hit me,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have been drawn to that. I probably would have drove right past it. The fact that I zigzagged all the way through this damn cemetery to find a plot where the last name was Money
Mm-hmm.
was just how it was.
Wow. So you were like spiritually led to that point. Yeah. That's insane, dude. That's crazy. See, so I don't know about y'all, but we're talking about this type of spirituality, these spell works, and doing work on certain people. Now we were talking about the subject of the pod being obsession, right? Now, infatuation can quickly turn into obsession,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think we've all dealt with situations where you've had people that have been infatuated and ended up becoming obsessed, right? Either you've heard of it personally or you've experienced it personally. Now, I know that one of the number one requests for spiritual practitioners is love spells, right? Infatuation spells, bindings using people's hair, or some different item that belonged to them or whatever. Have you ever had anybody approach you and ask you to do that kind of work?
I have. I've had people approach me. I've had people approach other practitioners I work with, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll hear the same thing. Like, I don't do that. Like if that person's meant to be with you, they'll be with you. If not, do not push it, because once you cross that boundary, right? Like, you may, like, we've all had that person where we're like, damn, this person's like the one for me. And then like a
Mm-hmm.
year later, you're like, I can't stand this motherfucker. Like, I can't even be around. Just looking at them makes me mad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you've already put that work in and you give up and you're like, yeah, this, after being with them, like, I don't find that infatuation anymore, or the fire, the romance, the passion, it's all gone.
Mm-hmm.
They can't feel that. You've taken that power away from them, right? You've done something in the supernatural realm that has taken their ability to have that control over their emotions. And so now you leave a person in a desperate, situation, and it could get ugly. They could become stalkers, they could become aggressive, they could do self-harm, they could harm
Mm-hmm.
you. There's all kinds of other shit that happens. And so for that, like, I do not fuck with love work at all.
Right.
Like, I've had people teach me and show me, like, stuff to, like, help sexually, like, yo, y'all want to get you know there's I'll do some work around that. Like, I'll help create a potion that'll just make it like, all right,
Make you
like,
strong in all the right places.
we could work around some stuff
Three
like that.
penis wine.
Huh?
Three
What?
penis wine.
What does that even mean?
There was this TV show I used to watch, The League, and they're
Uh-huh.
actually all in Chicago. But there's this episode where they got to go to Chinatown because the one guy wants to like do good for his wife in bed, and they're trying to seek out three penis wine. And I guess it's like this wine that's
Three
made with like
penis
deer
wine.
penis and wolf penis and all this stuff, but like you drink it, bro. You're bricked up. You
Dude,
making
we are
love.
gonna have some of the best sound bites off of this episode, I swear.
So a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, makes a beard oil, right? And the beard oil is called My Face Is Your Throne, right? And it is a sexual like vibe to it, right? It's a little dropper, and you rub it in, you put it in your beard, you put it in your hair, you
It's
could
almost like
just put it,
pheromone, like pheromone
but there's
attraction
no
type stuff.
pheromones in it.
Oh
You know,
wow.
it's all herbal and it's all natural, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it work, like you
Where
will
can
have,
I put my order in?
the person,
I
that's
do
the
know the
funny thing.
person. I do know the person too, man. I'm gonna have to hit them up. That's
you
funny.
know, and
But
so,
like, I
like,
don't know, man. Just the idea, the idea of just like, I've never been real keen on being able to take away somebody's ability to make their own decisions. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's a very slippery slope
and
when
this
it
one
comes
doesn't,
to
force somebody to like you,
right,
but
right.
it does open up the roads for you to find and be sexually desired
Oh
naturally,
wow.
right?
Okay, gotcha.
So it's not like something where, like you see in the movies where they put something on, like that movie Love Potion #9 from back in the day, right? Where the person
Uh,
wears it and all of a sudden everybody's no. I mean, someone that was wearing the product one day said that they were wearing it and they went on a date. The date had no reaction to it. They
mm-hmm.
went somewhere else, and all of a sudden, like, a random person came up to him and was just like, "What are you wearing? It smells so, And the funny thing is, there's not a lot of scent to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for them to have picked up on it, it was just like, yeah. So
Oh wow, dude. It's kind of like Anchorman, Sex Panther.
yes,
60% of
exactly,
the time, it works every time. That's
exactly.
cool, man. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to put an order in. Definitely. But yeah, I mean, no, I was just talking about in terms of, people using spell work in order to, put a love spell on somebody, right? Because I've heard cases personally that people have done it and it's ended really badly, or it's resulted in like a loveless marriage because eventually they'll have the person and then eventually it'll start to wear off, and then the love that they felt for the person, now they feel kind of trapped with the person, because like you said, like they may have fallen out of love with the person a long time ago, but the spell work has already been done. And this person now is trapped and they can't let go of that connection that they think they feel. You know what I'm saying? Because of that work that was done to them. And so, like, it's just, even without spell work, dude, obsession itself is a very scary thing and it's dangerous. It's super,
Definitely.
super dangerous. Like, I personally have had experiences where, I've had either friends or, people in my workspace that have dealt with like obsessed people. And it wasn't always situations where they were in relationships with these people. I had a coworker one time. I was like sitting in my office and like I was doing an investigation at the time. And one of my coworkers was like on the phone with this guy, and she's like, "Hey, do you know this person that worked within my department of safety and security?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." She's like, "Well, I have this guy on the line right now, and it's like a really weird request, but he's like, he says that he wants to surprise her for Valentine's Day, right? And that he said he wants to find out where specifically she works in the building because we worked in separate locations, but I knew of her. Like we would meet up for meetings like every couple weeks and whatever. And so like she was like, yeah, the guy's asking me for like what's her desk number, like what floor is she on, because he wants to have like chocolates and flowers and all this, balloons and shit
Oh,
delivered to. Yeah, and you're thinking, oh, that's so cute, right? You're thinking like, oh, that's so thoughtful. But then the investigator in me was like, how does he, first off, how does he not know if this is his girlfriend? How does he not know what building that she works in? You know what I'm saying? Like it was just really weird. So I told her, I said, hey, uh, let him know that, we'll see what we can do or whatever. I'm like, nah, this just doesn't seem right. So I ended up calling this woman and I was like, hey, so do you know this, or I'm sorry, I ended up calling the office where she works at, and she was out to lunch. And I spoke to this one woman that works with her, and I was like, hey, can you tell her like there's this guy that's calling and he says he's her boyfriend and he wants to set up like this crazy like Valentine's delivery. And she's like, what's his name? Right? So I gave her the name, and she's like, well, I'll talk to her and I'll call you back, right? Bro, like not even 5 minutes later, she calls me back and she's like, Abe, under no circumstances are you to give this guy any information. Don't give him any information. I'm like, what's going on? She goes, this guy's a stalker. Like she dated the dude back in college. And recently he ended up finding her like it was like on Facebook or something, like something on social media. And he started randomly showing up in places where she was tagging herself. So the dude would just like randomly pop up wherever he would see that she tagged herself at a bar or wherever. He would show up wherever the hell she was at and was trying to like get back with her and talk to her about the magical time they had when they were together. And it was like, she's like, dude, I went on one date with you back in college. So it was just this huge thing. We ended up having to get the law enforcement involved. We had to escort her to and from her car when she arrived, to her office. It was nuts, man. Like the guy had become completely, completely obsessed with this poor woman. And it was like an ongoing thing for like, it was over a year, where the dude was like trying to call and get information. He called, we had like at that time, we had like 5 different head office locations, and he was calling in different departments in all of these buildings to try to get information, to try to see if people knew her and where she sat and where she worked. It was really scary, man. It was just, and
I
it didn't
think
even personally happen to me,
I think it
it didn't
sounds
even happen to me.
I think it
Go ahead.
sounds beautiful. I think it sounds beautiful. He
This
loves
guy,
her and he's obsessed with her and he'll do anything to be with her, and
of
she's
course.
just fighting the love. She just needs to embrace it.
I've heard the devil's advocate, man. ever the devil's advocate.
I'm all
But
about obsession.
I just think it's crazy, man, how some people can get this idea in their head that they're like, this is my person, you
Yeah.
know? Like Mike, I had shared another story with you when I was working as a mobile security officer. They sent me over to this one high school for like a month or two. And I remember I was upstairs on the fourth floor and I get a call on the radio and they're screaming at me. So I pick up the radio. I'm like, yeah, what's going on? And they're like, hey, this kid, they gave me his name. They're like, he's running up the stairs right now. He's really upset. We need you to stop him at the top of the stairwell. Like they said, he's like really violent, very upset. So I go and I wait for him at the stairwell. So the kid comes running around. I mean, he looks like he's got the devil in him. And the kid starts yelling and screaming. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, hey, calm down. What's going on? Talk to me. Let's figure this out. So the kid tells me that his girlfriend was being messed with this guy. This guy was trying to get with his girlfriend and he wanted to go beat the kid up. And mind you, the kid's like 16, 17 years old. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is just regular teen drama, right? So I tell him, I need you to calm down. I can't let you go anywhere like this. And he's yelling and screaming at me, telling me that he's going to get past me. I'm like, bro, you're not going to get past me. Like, it's not going to happen. I said, so what you need to do is let's go into this office right here. We'll sit down and we'll talk. I wanted to de-escalate the situation. So we did that, right? And everything was cool. I got this kid to calm down. But then what ended up happening was his friend, I guess the one that ended up sending him the text message that sent him off to begin with, ended up sending the text again and saying, oh, she just kissed him or he just kissed her or something like that. The kid went nuts. He went crazy, right? So I'm like trying to keep this kid from like breaking everything in sight, this kid was ready to tackle everybody to get to this dude. Come to find out, he wasn't even dating the girl. They had been dating, but she broke up with him 2 years prior. And the guy who the friend was saying was trying to get with her, steal her away from him. She had been dating him for the past 2 years. They were in an actual relationship. But he was telling me that they were actually together and this guy was trying to break them up. It was like his mind was he was creating this whole other scenario in his mind that they were actually together and this guy was actually trying to break them up. And he was going to kill this kid, man. It was insane. And it got to the point to where, law enforcement had to be called. And I was begging this kid, like, hey, man, you really need to chill because, like, it's one thing to try to push your way past me. But if, the cops are telling you to calm down, and he was talking about fighting the cops. And I told him, I said, hey, man, like, I can put you in holds and whatever where I know that you're not going to get hurt. But these cops, if you make them feel threatened, they're going to hurt you. Like they're going to tase you. They're going to do whatever it is that they need to make sure that you're under control, do whatever that mace you, pepper spray you, tase you, cuff you, do whatever. So I was trying everything I could, man, to try to avoid that from happening. And unfortunately, the kid just couldn't see reason, right? And he ended up like taking a swing off of one of the cops. They ended up tackling him and cuffing him, taking him in a custody. I don't know what ended up happening with that situation. I wish I did, just because I felt like eventually that kid was going to get out and he was going to try to go after this girl and her boyfriend again. So that to me, it's just terrifying, dude. It's just scary that there's some people that actually get like these ideas in their head where they just feel entitled to a person, right? Has that ever happened to either one of you?
Me, no.
I just heard like a crazy buzzing sound. Sorry.
Yeah, it was like a weird high pitch. That was weird.
It was like R2D2. I've had people obsess over me, but I've also obsessed over people too.
Yeah.
But never to an extent where it was like years later,
Mm-hmm.
and the obsession never disappeared. Um, it's definitely a scary thing to think about when people, hold on to those types of feelings for that long.
Right.
Um, but you know me, I'm all about dark romance. If I'm in love with you, you're mine, obsess over me. But at a certain point, it's not cute anymore. You
Right.
know, like the fact that they dated for like a week and it was 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Feel bad for him. He's hurting a lot inside. He needs to get some help. If anybody that's listening is feeling this way, talk to somebody, get some help.
Right. There's resources out there. If you're feeling that I don't know, you figure that you're still with this person even though you're not in a relationship, haven't been in a relationship in a long time, but you feel some kind of claim, that's not normal. That's not no. There is a healthy level of infatuation, and then there is an unhealthy level of infatuation. Right. So, Paul, have you ever had something like that? You ever had somebody obsessed about you?
His mic is his mic
Yeah.
is
What's going on with your mic, dude? It's the dude. I'm telling you, it's the spirits are messing with the mic. I'm
I,
telling you,
I
dude.
think I think we're gonna have to probably we've already been talking for over an hour and 16 minutes.
Uh huh.
It's been fun having Paul on here. He's friends of both of ours. Um, I know we're
Great
gonna definitely
stories.
have to have him back on a different day. I appreciate everybody logging on, listening to us, watching us today. If you haven't followed, subscribed, please do. Share the podcast with somebody that you would believe that would like it. But this episode's been fun.
It's been really fun, man. A lot of great stories, Paul. Hopefully, in the future, if you'd be willing to come back and share some other stories with us, man, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, whenever you guys need me.
Okay. Awesome.
Exactly. But I think that's going to be an episode. My name is Michael, aka Mr. Scary Vibes.
And my name is Abe, aka Big Paranormal. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for listening and watching.